Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks Gaming and a new series on the channel, which is going to be a big one because we're going to start farming for a Mageblood. Now, the idea of the series I've got from a content creator called Casual Dan. I've seen lots and lots of Mageblood type farming videos, but a lot of them I don't think are what I want to do, which we'll come on to in a second. But if you want to check out his kind of progress for Mageblood, I've linked his channel in the videos in the description. I recommend giving it a go. It's a really good watch, and it really shows how accessible it is if you give up basically your time and your soul to farm the currency. So the idea of the series is that I'm going to use the previous cold conversion tornado shot build that I bought a build guide out for. It's exactly the same character I put together for that build, and I'm not going to upgrade it at all throughout the way so that we know that whatever currency we get can go towards a Mageblood. And the idea is that if you followed that build guide, you can follow along with this and farm your own. As I said, it's going to take some time, and you pretty much have to give up your soul because you're not farming for any other purpose other than get the currency to get that elusive belt. So the series, obviously as stated, is going to be all about farming currency for a Mageblood or buying the apothecary cards to get a Mageblood. And to make it accessible, I'm going to use the build from my build guide. I'm also going to start with a really low investment strategy for the first 100 or so maps. And I'm going to be using my dad gamer strat that I brought out recently. Again, it's linked in the video description. But even in the later episodes, once we get some currency, I'm never going to be running insanely expensive strategies, as I'm not a massive fan of buying stuff and spending ages setting up the strats. So for the most part, they're going to be very accessible farming strategies that are not complicated. The main reason for the series is I've seen a lot of videos out with titles such as how I farmed the Mageblood in 5 days or 3 days. And the titles are a little ambiguous. Does this mean that's 5 days as in 24 hours times 5 playtime? If not, how long are they playing a day? And if they're playing something like 16 hours a day, that ends up being 80 hours, which is not that impressive to get a Mageblood in that time. And also, that means it might take someone else 30 days or 20 days, depending on how long they play. The second reason is these videos often involve a strat that isn't that well known when the video drops and when the person was doing his farming. Obviously, loads of people then watch it and go, oh, this is the way I'll get a Mageblood quicker. That strategy then plummets in profitability, which means it would have taken the poster 10 days if he was to do it again, and it's going to take whoever follows that video the same amount of time. Now, I'm not saying I don't like these videos. I think they're really good videos to explain someone's thought process, and if you do want to try and be that person that gets a Mageblood really early, it gives you an idea of how to go about it, but it's not necessarily something to just copy and paste. So what I'm going to do is record how many hours I spend in the game, and whenever I have Path of Exile on, the timer's going to be ticking. This isn't, I'm going to turn the timer off while I go and buy all my farming strats and all my materials, and I'm going to turn it off while I'm in the game, but I'm looking at other things that I can do. Whenever Path of Exile is turned on, the timer is ticking. What I'm also going to do is include how many maps it takes me each farming strategy, and overall how many maps it took me to get a Mageblood. In terms of recording currency, I'm going to include everything that drops, as the whole purpose of the video is farming a Mageblood. And everyone's going to get some sort of lucky drop or two along the way. However, when I work out the profit strategy in terms of, oh, this strategy worked out at X chaos per map or per hour or however I want to do it, I'm obviously going to remove any outliers because it massively skews the figures and might make one strategy look more profitable than the other. So that's kind of it for the intro. I don't know how often the videos are going to come out. It's probably going to be like every 100 maps, maybe every 50 maps, every X amount of hours. I don't know, but I don't want to spam the channel with videos. So one video every couple of days, 2 or 3 days, because there's obviously work, family life, things like that. So max, I'm going to have 2 to 3 hours a day to play. So I have to make sure that playtime is efficient as I can make it. So the way we're going to do each strategy is to make it simple. I'm going to count everything that you use to map as a cost, but then everything you get back as a gain. So I know a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't put maps in because you don't sell them. The point of putting the maps in is that you are accounting for buying those maps. So if you don't put the maps in, you're basically not telling a true reflection, because you're not going to be recording all the currency that you gain, because you should be putting those maps in as currency, because if you don't, you're going to have to buy more maps again at the beginning of the next strategy, and you're going to end up really underreporting what your profits are. So because of that, we're going to be including, chisels, outs, vials, maps, sextants, scarabs, everything. And then it means we can record everything we pay to go into a map, and then it means everything we get out is profit, because even though you might say, oh, general rusted scarabs don't sell, if they don't, it doesn't matter. We're using them for the strategy, and it saves us buying them. But what I don't want to have to do is balance that out at the end of every session and go, oh, well, I bought 80 rusted scarabs, I got in 40, so the profit is 40 rusted scarabs. I'd rather just say everything we get is profit, but every single thing we need to use in the map is an expense. So with that out of the way, let's jump in to day one and see how we get on. So reach the end of the first session, I decided to leave it at 50 maps because I'm running all the Sanctums as well, and I'm including them in the profit. So maps will be not as quick as before. It might be 4.5 minutes per map compared to 3 minutes before, because I'm including all of the Sanctum and completing it in the map time and the profit and the per hour, because I want to get a good understanding of my overall profitability per hour, including Sanctum, because if I do maps quicker and get more Sanctums, it makes a difference to the profits, and I don't want to separate the two. So when we finished, as you can see from Excellence Next, we ended up with 5,194 chaos, and the cost of the strategy for the 50 maps was 600 chaos. It was essentially 8 chaos in supplies and Fortune Favors the Brave, and then 4 chaos per map. So the profit in total was 4,595, and it worked out at 91 chaos per map. Now, unfortunately, I had one death, and it was in the final room of Sanctum, because I was listening to football, decided I'd turn the game audio off so I could hear the commentary better, and I didn't realise that the end boss was doing the gaze mechanic, and I stood at the end of it and got obliterated. So luckily there was not tons of divines waiting for me at the end. It was just kind of the usual stack deck, sextants, chaos orbs. So I think I have lost about 1.5 divines in currency because of that, but it is what it is. Learned my lesson, don't do it again. So the strategy is still working really well. It's a very good strategy to start off to do something like this, because all the stuff sells really easily. You're guaranteed to get the mechanics in nearly every map, and it's just a very, very safe way of getting decent profit. I didn't die at all in the maps. I just had the one death in Sanctum, which was definitely my own fault. The only item I had that was worth any money other than a raw divine in the maps was a Fate Worse Than Death card, which is about 80C. So nothing extraordinary. Other than that, all the profits come from the usual stuff in the strategy. So, you know, your Harvest Life Force, your Sextants, Div cards, stuff from Sanctum, Unmakings, Eldritch Currency, and Essences. So I'm, in general, really happy with the start. I'm close to 19 divines, which is a nice positive start for what is a very cheap strat. Now that I've got a bit of currency, I'm probably going to look to do something with a bit more investment, mainly because I'm pretty bored of this strat now. It is, without a doubt, a really, really good, consistent strategy for making money, and there's no sort of spiky returns. You just get guaranteed return map on map on map. But I do want to change. I've been doing it for well over a week now, and I just feel like I need to change. So the next video will be a different strategy. In the videos coming up, if it's a strategy I've not covered on the channel, we'll obviously go through the strategy in full, how to set it up. We'll go through the returns properly and how much per hour the strategy is without Sanctum. But because this one I've done a full video on, if you want to check it out, it's in the video description. I don't feel like it's worth repeating that when I've already documented it. So in terms of our progress towards a Mageblood, it's obviously not a massive dent made yet, because there are about 304 divines to buy one. Long way to go, but I'm excited to try some different strats. But overall, it's nice to see a decent return for the first episode. Get the ball rolling with like 18 to 19 divines, and then we can move on to the next strat. Hopefully with confidence that whatever we pick next is going to be just as lucrative. And then it's definitely going to start to feel better once we can maybe tick some boxes off, because I think the way we'll buy it is div cards. So we'll buy apothecary cards every time we get the money. So it'd be really good to get that first card ticked off and know that we're on the way to getting that Mageblood, because it's not anything I've ever grinded before. Headhunter's kind of the biggest item I've grinded for before. So this will be a first for me, so I'm looking forward to it. That's it for the episode. As I say, it's not going to be a daily thing, because there's no way I can get that many maps done in a day with work and family life and things like that. So it's going to be one every 2 to 3 days, possibly one every day at the weekend, depending what I've got on. But overall, it should be steady enough that it keeps people entertained. So that's it for the episode. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and see you in the next one.